Well, I've been working in radio for years, frightening number of years, about 25 years in the media. The opportunity for working with Steve Wright came actually because I met him at a party. It's funny, isn't it, how things happen. But I already had a show on BBC Radio 2. I had my own show in the early hours of Saturday morning, and then I met Steve and ended up on his show, which was fantastic fun. And it really has transformed my life, actually, because it was through being on that show and just chatting about my own life that a publisher heard me. Always remember who listens to radio shows. And a publisher heard me and talking about natural living and holistic stuff, and basically said, why don't you write a book? And that was my first book, which was called Imperfectly Natural Woman, and that was, gosh, 9 years ago now. And because of that book, I sort of had my, if you like, second and third careers, and was able to really follow my passion. So yeah, it was, you know, it's interesting, isn't it? We can often, all of us, point to something that really made a difference for us. Yeah, I think it's changed dramatically, actually. You're right, you know, years ago when I used to sort of mention natural products for laundry and natural deodorants or whatever it is, yeah, the boys used to kind of take the mickey, and I used to get a huge amount of ribbing, but I also got a huge amount of support, and as I say, that's why I ended up writing the book. But I always think about makeup as a starters, because when I wrote that first book, I remember I really did a lot of research, and there were only, I think, 2 companies that did completely natural makeup. Well, now, I mean, it's just unbelievable. You know, it's grown just massively, and the whole organic and natural industry is absolutely huge. Having said that, though, what I do think is that there's a bigger gap, if you like, between people who will always be stuck fast to their chemicals and their synthetic chemicals and all the rest of it. And then there's the other side. And I do think there's a really wide gap between. And I don't know that there's even a bridge, but I don't know that that matters, because what is important for me is that the holistic side is strong, and that really has grown. And I think I've really seen people wanting to take responsibility for their own health and well-being and their spirituality in a way that I don't think even 9 years ago, I don't think it was like that. So I really think there has been a change in the zeitgeist.
Yeah.
Gosh, well, a good one, which you haven't given me time to prepare for. I mean, there's lots of things. If you wanted a tip for your, you know, health and well-being, then I'd just say look to your kitchen cupboard, look to nature, because nature's actually provided everything. Everything starts from there. If you want a tip for everything else, and I guess everything is everything, it's the word holistic, then I'd say find a way of learning to love yourself, because that's the one thing we don't do. And no matter how much we appreciate that it's important, I think most of us still look in the mirror and allow that inner talk to constantly say things that we wouldn't say to a 5-year-old child we'd be had for abuse. And yet our inner talk allows us to say it to ourselves. And so if it had to be just one tip, it would be practice looking in the mirror and really appreciating yourself, and then maybe the habit will stick.